For God to dwell in our hearts, we must live a holy life, an upright life. And that what is spoken of in Psalms, there's 2 or 3 Psalms that say, who may ascend into the hill of the Lord, or who may stand in his holy place? Who will be there before you? And he gives an answer and says, he who has clean hands and a pure heart. So that, and clean hands and a pure heart, it means that we are not sinning every day of our lives. Because if we sin every day, what occurs is God will not dwell in our heart. He can't. And he will simply surround us. He will look at us. He'll hear our prayers and maybe help us and bless us. But dwelling in our heart, he cannot dwell in our heart, because a fountain of water cannot sprout fresh and salt water at the same time. So those requirements are those that we must keep so that God truly is in my heart. We must be very careful of those secret sins, those sins that are not seen and that are very harmful. Those sins are very harmful, like selfishness, envy, jealousy, resentment, greed, covetousness, wrath you have against someone, or vengeance. Also pride, rebellion, foolishness, all of these things. If it exists in us, then it impedes God dwelling in our heart. Our Lord Jesus Christ told the apostles, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, implying that what is in your heart is what comes out and is reflected in our behavior, in how we talk, in what we say, in our daily life, whether it be with our family, at home, at work, at our business, at school, wherever we are, we reflect what's inside around those who surround us. And people, they start to identify who is who based on how they are. Because that person, what they say and they express and what they bring to light is who they are. And the children of God, in the Bible, it says that the children of God do not sin. Meaning they preserve themselves from having all of those secret sins that we just mentioned. And also the lack of understanding, the lack of having patience, the lack of having mercy, of forgiving. All of that makes God not able to dwell in our heart 100%. God is with a person. God can bless them, make them promises. But God is not there entirely. When God comes and dwells in a person's heart, God gives them the spiritual gifts, uses them, supports them. People begin to work miracles, all supported by God. Those are the fruits that will be seen in reality. Now, of course, we are talking about people who are sane and rational, because there is another phenomenon of people that are bound by evil spirits. There are many demons and spirits produced by witchcraft, by sorcery, by curses, and that have been done maybe by previous ancestors. And so this is done against a person. And when they arrive to the church, they're already spiritually bound. They have spirits. And those spirits sometimes possess the mind. They possess the brain. And a person is not able to reason, not able to be sane in how they think and how they act. They are unable to act wisely, with prudence, with patience. They are unable to have patience. They are unable to love other people. They can't, because that evil spirit has possessed their internal organs in their being, and that person is not able to function and do things well. So this is what we call a person when they are mentally ill. This is a person who, is filled with many spirits, and they're not able to reason in their minds. These people, it is not their fault in being this way because the demons that are in them dominate them. So a person comes to church and they struggle. They struggle, and you see these people, they struggle and they fight for God to deliver them. But that evil spirit returns and retakes their mind and their reasoning. And that person, once again, they're not able to act and reason on their own accord. And when you see these people in the congregation, those who are sane, those who consider yourselves to be fine and normal, what we need to do is pray for these people. Lay hands on them. Pray so that God delivers them, because that person, we cannot expect that that person have love and mercy, to not hold grudges, to not be hateful. We cannot expect and demand that from that person because they can't act or change on their own. So they're going to have all of these flaws. We're going to see all of that in this person. And we see that they like to gossip. They look at people badly. They don't greet others. They don't obey. They lie. So people who don't know, well, they say, well, this person is so difficult. But they don't know that this person is bound by spirits, and they deserve to have laying on of hands and to pray to God to deliver them. And so we sometimes say, oh, well, there in the church, there's a group of people. There are brothers and sisters. They're so talkative. They're liars. They are contentious. They like to talk and criticize. They don't obey. They have nothing of God. They're liars. They're con men. Well, all of that could happen, and they are criticized. People begin to criticize. And it's a phenomenon that we find in congregations, in all congregations. And they criticize these people. But if we get to the bottom of it and actually start speaking with this person, we see that they are spiritually bound. And the spirits are what makes them behave this way, in a disorderly way. So how can we demand these people to have God dwell in their hearts if they are bound by spirits? So they can't change. They themselves can't even pray or ask God because they do not have the capability. They expect others to pray for them and to lay hands on them and pray to God for them so that one day they are able to, in their hearts, have God. This is a phenomenon in the congregations. But sometimes we talk about those who will consider ourselves to be sane and that we are able to reason. And we don't have those spirits that disturb our minds. Maybe perhaps there's a spirit of sickness, which can occur. There are spirits of different illnesses, but they are not in people's minds. It's in a body, a physical part of the body, to cause a person to be ill. And that is easier because a person, since they're conscious of their illness, they say, Lord, rebuke this spirit of illness that I have. My kidney is ill, my liver, my legs, my varicose veins, my feet hurt, my arms hurt. Lord, have mercy, heal me. And so I have my reasoning and I'm praying to God for healing because I have these spiritual bonds or this spirit of sickness, because this is what the devil does. He comes against us to place harm and to cause us to suffer. And that is our constant fight every day of our lives. And so now let's talk about those who consider ourselves to be in the right mind. So we need to have God in our hearts. We need to be careful with no grudges, no greed, no covetousness, no envy, not to criticize and complain or becoming upset. And if you're at home with your family, be very careful with altercations and different contentions and arguments, dishonest words, insulting your family member who lives with you, whoever it is. Be very careful with all of that. How do you live your life at work, at school, at your business, wherever you are? How do you live? How do you behave? Are you honorable? You need to be honorable and honest in every sense of the word. When we gather all of those requirements, rest assured God will come and dwell in our hearts. He will come and dwell in our heart. And our behavior, Our attitude now is of people that have no evil, but full of love, of mercy, patience, benevolence, kindness. And so the grace of God then comes to each person. He gives people grace so that things go well for them in life, so that everyone may lend a hand to them, that everyone speaks well of you, saying that you radiate peace. And that is beautiful. And this is something that we should all fight for, so that we have out in the world, with those out in the world, that we should have that type of appreciation from others, that people should say, well, who are you? Who are you? Because you radiate peace. And that's what people perceive. And so that is the beautiful thing, to live that kind of life. And so someone might say, well, I can't. I've tried, but I can't achieve it. I pray to God, I ask, and God does not seem to hear me. I want to change, but I can't. Yes, you must continue to insist. You must insist because it can be achieved. You can change. You can forgive. You can have patience. You can have consideration in a moment. You achieve and attain many things because you control yourself. You control your flesh. You control your feelings. And this can be done when you love God and you want to please God. And I want God to dwell in me. So then I need to sacrifice my body, my flesh, who is asking for certain appetites and things. And then God will come in and help me as well. This is something that we are fighting with all of the time. We fight every day. And this is why the Lord said that our spiritual life, the spiritual life of believers, is like the dawn. When the sun is about to come out, it starts shining and shining. It's no longer night anymore. The morning begins, and that's how our spiritual life is. Every day we must be better and change, never remain stagnant, but change and surpass ourselves so that every day is better, and that God may give us the spiritual gifts, and that our spiritual life be of progress. It should be progressive. That is how our spiritual life should be. So the requirements to have God in our hearts. And so the Lord says, well, the Lord asks, who will be in your holy hill, Lord? Who? Well, those who have clean hands and a pure heart. Those who have no vanity. Those who are not idolaters, those who do not do evil to others, those who love their neighbor. Those are who will be in God's presence, in the altar, in the throne of God, in the Lord's presence, in his holy hill. And this is what we all want. We all want this. And this is why we must press onward. We must continue, because it is very sad when many people leave and they give up. Maybe they've been in the church for 10, 15 years and they got tired. What did they get tired of? What does it mean that you get tired and then go back to living in the world? In the world, you live difficulties, tribulations. The doors are closed. God does not lend his hand to us. Rather, we should be saying, well, I'm tired of the world. I'm going to seek God instead. But people, they seek God. And then these people, surely they probably had a problem. What do you think the problem was? The people who give up after 10, 15 years of being in the church. Okay, well, on one end, there was no conversion. But those who have been in the church 10, 15 years and nothing, well, aside from maybe not converting completely, they had spirits. Spirits that controlled their personality. And that is sad. We must see these examples and be very careful. Let's be very careful with that. The day that you feel, well, I'm tired of going back to church, I'm not going back. I'm tired, I don't want to. Well, think about that and say, well, what's happening to me? Evil spirits have possessed me. Demons have come to me, and they are what is causing me to feel this way of not wanting to go to the church, not to return anymore. The demons, the devil wants to possess me. Think about that. And you will help yourself, and you will fight. And the Lord will help you so that you do not give up. And we need to continue to the end of our life. to the end of our life. The other day I spoke in a sermon and I said, well, where are those who were around 40 years ago? Where are they 30 years ago? I haven't seen them. And then so many of them wrote to me. They wrote and said, why are you saying that we don't exist? We're here. And they sent me pictures. And they're all old now. Of those who have been in the church for 40 years, they're all old now. But they sent me the pictures and their greetings. They say, we're here. When are we going to see you? We want to see you. And that's very exciting. This brings us so much joy when we continue to the end of our life.